You can see that the two females, their positioning, it looks like the other one wants to show us some of the interesting behavior at the moment. Let's just see what this female is going to show us. And they are now aiming at the impalas who are on the other side. My apologies again for the inconveniences due to some technical difficulties. So these two lions are aiming at the impalas who are not very close. They are on a distance of about, let's say, 150 meters away. So this is what they do a lot when they want to insulate each other. But now there's no need for them to lean against each other because it is quite very much hot at the moment. So you can hear the hippopotamus as well giving some of the calls. So that was just a sound from the Egyptian geese. So it looks like the one. They are cuddle buddies. You can see the one who's just aiming at the impala by the other side. Has got quite a lot of interest on this impala. Maybe is too hungry. So the other one is just lying down flat, not worried, not showing any sign of interest on these impalas at the moment. So, but I think an impala is going to be enough for the two. But if it's a lot, they are too clever. They don't chase anything small because they are just afraid that the energy they are going to lose during the chase is not going to be enough when it comes to the recovery of the energy lost. So while we're waiting to see what is going to happen here between lions and impalas, let's just cross over back to Steve and hear about the hippopotamus.
Hello, Scuba Steve. Where have you been? What have you been up to? Back in the Buffelshoek watering hole, we've been doing some loops, searching around for the elusive tundi. Oh, there's a woodland kingfisher doing some dive bombing on the water. Do you see him, Dave? He's going to come back again. He's just on the bush on the left-hand side there. They've come down and they drink almost like a swallow would do. A little bit up. You'll see him just on the left there. A little bit more left and up. There he is. Beautiful woodland kingfisher. And he's not just drinking, he's also wetting himself a little bit to then go and do the grooming and the bathing for the day. I've never seen a kingfisher, well, a woodland kingfisher, sitting next to the water, nor the brown-hooded kingfisher. Apparently, most kingfishers don't really have the power in their legs to be able to push them off of the ground if they were standing. They're able to fly and sort of jump off of a little ledge or a perch, but if they're on the ground, I don't think they have the necessary skills to jump back up again. So that's why this one does a flying sort of movement across the water itself to wet itself and also to drink. But then again, the woodland kingfisher and most of the other insect-eating birds get most of their drinking water from the insects that they feed on. Cal6, well, I haven't been around for the last 3 months and I haven't heard anything about old Snorkel Sarah. He's looking all lonely on his own there, old Scuba. He's looking at the grey sky and going, I can smell the rain, where is it? As he's got one oxpecker in attendance, really dealing with a wound on his back there. Clearly not bothering him at all. Now, to be honest, on foot, a hippo like this in decreasing water can be incredibly dangerous because water is sort of the safe haven for a hippo and they feel comfortable when they can cover themselves in it. And then when a hippo can't cover itself anymore, submerge itself in its comfort zone, it quite often can feel threatened and well known to charge and be aggressive to many people on foot. So that is one of the reasons why in the dry periods it's very important to be aware of your areas, your surroundings, and where you might potentially find a hippo like this. But obviously when the rains come and watering holes like this one fill up, well, then it goes back to normal. The oxpecker is not necessarily cleaning it. It's probably actually keeping it open and then feeding on the blood. So it picks, you can see it's actually got a little bit of an open scab there. So oxpeckers themselves, they feed on ticks, but primarily the reason for feeding on ticks is to access the blood that the ticks have within themselves. And so they will often attack wounds and keep wounds open. It's probably why on Scuba he's got these lesions that haven't gone anywhere. You can see there's another one on the left, another one on the top there. Because he's often got oxpeckers, he can't go under the water really, so the only way for him to actually get them off of him is to submerge himself or to move, and that requires a lot of energy, and it gets quite sort of laborious during the day to constantly be flicking away at these annoyances. But I don't think it is affecting him too badly. It's just keeping a wound that wants to heal from doing so. Well, a wonderful afternoon. Temperatures have really decreased to a much more manageable sort of area. And we're going to move on and see if we can pick up any tracks of Thandi. We are looking very, very closely at the ground, and because it was hot earlier, there's a very good chance she has either gone to water, as I said, or was lying up. But one of the reasons for us checking Buffelshoek was this was the one triangulation point she could have come to, but we'll check the others now. But in the meantime, let's go up to the Masai Mara with David Gitu with a spotlight.
Well, someone finding the Queen of Juma Thandi, that should be very exciting. And I'm not sure whether they're still together with the Princess Talamba. And the last I left Juma, Talamba was trying to behave like any typical teenager and trying to move away from the mother. I don't know what's the situation now. Well, darkness has come here, and I am not looking for anything in particular. The only thing I'll do is after some time I'll swing by those lions that I had seen before and find out if they were lucky to bring down a zebra. They went in a very difficult area, but apparently those zebras smelled them, and when they smelled them, those lions moved away. I mean, the zebras moved away, so they might decide to follow them. As I was saying earlier, lions tend to see better in the darkness, and they take the advantage of darkness to go for a hunt. I will not be surprised if that happens tonight. But it was quite dramatic to see them trying to bring down a huge male buffalo. And you see the buffaloes were very smart. They knew in numbers they could intimidate those lions. So at one point it was about 7 lions against 5 buffaloes, but the buffaloes came out better off because they were bigger and they could scare them. Lee, do any animals look in their escarpment? I'll tell you, Lee, at the moment, it's still very wet down here. You can see my pace of driving is very slow because it's still wet and there are so many holes you don't want to enter into, say, termite mound or a hole that has been dug by a pig. So most of the ungulates, most of the hoofed animals, Lee, have left this flat area and have gone all the way to the escarpment. Now, just in the camp we live in, at night when you come out and you just have your torch, we see so many zebras just outside. There are so many elands, and not very far from the camp also, on our way down here to the escarpment to do the drive, we'll also see lots of giraffe. So many will leave, and they leave because it's still very soggy here, and if they would spend a lot of time in such muddy areas, sometimes they get what we call foot rot. on their hooves. So to avoid that, the best thing is for them to leave and wait until it dries up. I'll tell you, Lee, we got more zebras and giraffes up on the escarpment than we have down here. So that's Mother Nature. Elephants also behave the same. And this is one of the days where I've done a drive for maybe now going to 2 hours plus without having seen a single elephant. It's just because it's wet and a bit soggy and very muddy. But what I'm doing, I'm trying to go to an area that's much raised to chance on elephants as it gets dark. Well, darkness comes with other wildlife. I'm talking about nightjars or scrub hares or hyenas sometimes get busy in the darkness. So meanwhile, we'll take you back to the gentleman who got lions.
They are still very much relaxed, displaying quite a lot of interest on different things, different animals coming to drink here. So what I'm doing now is to just wait and see when they are going to go down the dam wall and maybe wait somewhere by the bank where the animals are approaching from, because I can see by looking at these animals, they are so hungry and they really want to have something tonight. Chances are very high that we might witness a kill. It's unpredictable. This is quite a lovely pose. Look at that. So one is on a watch out whereas the other one is sleeping. It's a good combination. When that one is sleeping, the one sleeping must have to be on a lookout point. So you can see it's clear. The lion is also spotted. You can see the underneath parts nice and clear. But you only see them a lot when you look at those that are still very young. So they can hear the impalas calling their babies. You can see that one is concentrating on the impalas doing like when it's calling the babies. So the female lions is the ones who can be very much aggressive, and when they are having the cubs, they are so very much aggressive and they don't want anything to come near their cubs. Paula, she is indeed breathing pretty fast. When it's too hot, you'll see the breathing rate on this animal goes high all the time. So it's overcast, but the wind here is still very much warm. And now that they're leaning against each other, I'm sure that is also helping to insulate the heat. So now let's cross over to Steve, who's got the hornbill.
Well, Sidders, let's hope that your lions get up and catch some food for you there. Wonderful to see. But for now, we've moved a little bit off from Buffelshoek watering hole, and we have found a southern yellow-billed hornbill, easily identified by the very long yellow beak. And there is the preen gland right there on the base of the tail, and it is going to get oil from that onto its beak, which it then uses to preen, to go through the feathers. Often birds will either bath first, wetting themselves, and then apply the preen oil to their feathers to apply that waterproof coating, which obviously stands them in good stead out here. And they've got to get everywhere, underneath the armpits, everywhere that they possibly can. And they'll always do this away from the roosting site or away from the nest, because they often will remove parasites and mites and all sorts of flea-like animals that they don't want to be taking back to the nest with them. But as it does so, you can see it's still looking around. Ding, they are very funny birds. They are quite unique in their sort of appearance with that long beak shape, but that stands them in good stead for being here in the dry season. You can almost regard them as specialized feeders in the fact that their beak is able to access all sorts. They can feed on fruits, they can feed on seeds, they can leaf toss on the ground as well. They can stick their beak into cavities and to fissures. They've also got very nice ability of following around mongooses, dwarf mongooses and the like, and benefiting it. Oh, and there we go. There's a dwarf mongoose. I knew we would find one nearby if we found a hornbill. They have a very nice relationship between themselves, whereby... Let's quickly go over to Sidda's.
So you can see that I've got the hippopotamus just on his way back to the waterhole next to the chitwa. Don't get surprised when seeing some of the fence lines there. That is the chitwa is by the lodge. So I'm just now very, very close to that area. I can see the hippopotamus is coming from somewhere, coming back to the waterhole. But it's taking a very long dry. It's just gonna come in maybe somewhere in the middle. I don't know where this hippopotamus is coming from, because it's not coming from this dam, but it's very much wet. Maybe there is some other water somewhere nearby. So now you can see that we are well equipped, because the rain possibilities are very high. The rain cover and the roof will be giving you a problem all the time because of the poles when we are trying to give you the best sightings. So that hippo is now very stationary somewhere there. So Maria, you can see the hippopotamus out of the water holes all the time, especially if you go that area where we have just seen Scuba Steve with Steve by the other side there. That hippo is just spending a few times out of the water hole. You will see he does go to the water hole, but you will see him on several occasions outside there for the rest of the day. So now we can go back to the lions and see if there is any developments. I came here specifically just to look at that hippo as I was going to make a turn. So I can see there's just impalas everywhere. No other big animals. No other big animals to fascinate these lions here. So maybe later on we might see the buffaloes. So now let's quickly go back to Steve and hear what he says.
Thanks, it is. Well, always very funny to watch a hippo run. I'm just going to point out to David there's some green woodhoopus chirping in the tree here. See if we can find them. But how incredibly fast are hippos? And I was talking before about how they can be dangerous, because when they do run, they are surprisingly fast. I mean, they can run about 40-odd kilometers an hour. That's about 20 miles an hour. And, well, they're generally going downhill, so it's probably even faster than that. Have you got anything, Darby? They're definitely around. I heard them. So we'll call them out, shall we? The green woodhoopoo. I was talking about the hornbill and the dwarf mongoose. And they've got a really nice relationships between them. They actually will benefit each other. Some people go as far as to say that the hornbills will come to the mongoose's little burrow in the morning and knock on the door and say, "Come on, let's go catch some food." Oh, I just saw another falcon go there. Sorry, it's gone. Let's go catch some food. And as the mongooses come out and go in search of food, let me just type in this as well, woodhoopoo. And as they go in search of food, they do scratching, and they're all moving around, ferreting through the long grass, chasing insects, digging up scorpions. And the hornbill every now and again jumps down and catches some food as a benefit to themselves. But while sitting up in the tree, apparently they've got a little alarm call that they're able to give to the dwarf mongoose to like go, quickly run, there's something coming. And things like the Amur falcon, the tawny eagle, the battler eagle, all of these would be prime examples of birds that would try to catch the little mongoose, and also the hornbill. So I'm going to play this quickly for you, the green urupu. This is what we heard. They might come out. They often come out when you play a call. I'm going to push stop there. Now they call that allomimetic. Oh, Paula, you want to know the size difference between a yellow-billed hornbill and a ground hornbill? There is a huge difference, huge difference. Here they come. There we go. Bottom right. There it is. Up a bit, Davy. There we go. Just on the right of the tree there. Top right of the screen. Called allomimetic behavior, where they'll come together. He's moving up on the left. He's jumping through. There we go. Top right, top middle. Moving through. He seems to be on his own. Now, that chirping call that I was doing now is what allows these birds to sort of follow each other through from one tree to the other. So I can't hear any others. Can't hear any others. So the southern ground hornbill is 110 centimeters, so close to 4 kilograms. And the southern yellow-billed hornbill is 50 centimeters, 190 grams. So huge difference in size. But we saw also earlier, we're going to move on from the screen, Mudupu. Saw also earlier that the hornbill was busy sort of preening and then looking. Preening and looking. We had a little discussion this morning about the day in the life of a bird. And well, generally sort of this time of day, after having a little bit of a bath, they'll do some grooming or preening away from the den site, but they also at pressure then of being eaten or caught by crepuscular sort of raptors, sparrowhawks, shikras and the like. So they've got to keep their eyes. You saw a little bit of preen, then have a look. And that's another reason why many bird species hang out in groups. Green urupus, for example, they can fend off predators, and they can also defend territory with their long probing beak, being a very specialized feeding technique, more specialized in actually than the hornbill. But the hornbill adapted itself to follow around mongooses, which are here all the time, and to benefit off of sort of things that they're not able to access themselves. But most of the birds that we've been seeing today will all gratefully and thankfully take the termite alates when they come from the rainfall. Even ourselves, human evolution, we used to eat lots and lots of termites, and I still know lots of locals who do still eat many insects from the landscape. So there is an abundance, and well, I'm not going to get into that discussion again because, well, we've done that before. Calcics, I don't see them that often. I think I've seen them less than 5 times in the time I've been here. We do, they need vast areas to look for food, so they just move through, sort of like you could almost compare them to the wild dog in their movements. They move as far as they need to every day for food. They don't necessarily have a specific territory, although they are sort of territorial. They will call a lot. Areas are very, very vast, and small nature reserves don't have enough area for them, so they move all the way through and into much larger areas than the much smaller birds. So smaller hornbills will just have a small area here because their food resource is obviously much less, and many more of them around due to abundance of food. But the hornbill, southern ground hornbill, moves very large distances every day in search of food, and it's why they spend a lot of time on the ground physically walking. But we are in the area that we found Tingana the other evening, and we're hoping to see some form of tracks of someone in the next little while. I don't think Hosana will come this far east this afternoon, but the aging Duke and Tandi, well, who knows, there could be another love affair.
fallen here, and we have already gone into what we call infrared. And infrared will always help us to spot animals without, or when we shine or put infrared on the animals we see, we make sure we do not affect them. And it's a little bird there. I'm not sure we can see it actually very well. Let me just first turn around here, and it looks like a little bird on top of a little twig right there. There, actually, it looks like a nightjar to me. I could be very wrong. Let's see whether our infrared will get there. And the advantage of our infrared is to help us spot a game at night without influencing them. Oops, she just flew away. And my guess, that was a nightjar. No idea where she has gone. Let's see if we can track her again. She was on that little bush. I think the wind was just too strong, and she decided to move away. The other day I had a question from a viewer who was asking me why we call them nightjars, and I was wondering, thinking, as much as I did not do my research, but then I thought, I remember when I was in college, I was told these birds will always come out at night to feed, and that's why maybe they are called nightjars. You very rarely see a nightjar during the day, and because they'll always be out in the darkness to feed, and it could be the reason why they are called nightjars. But I also remember originally that it was they were called nightjars because of the European nightjars. But I think for them coming out feeding at night would make more sense than anything else. But I'll still continue researching and find out why they are called nightjars. They'll of course come out and feed on flies. They've got lots of whiskers around their beak that when they open it, they'll always go catching flies as they move. It's a little cat here. I'm not sure it is. Let me see. You've got a little closer. Where did you go? Looks like a mongoose, but definitely at that speed they are actually there. Let's see if we can get it, but somewhere there. See that one there? Yeah. Hello there. It's a carnivore, and I'm guessing it's a mongoose. Not sure what mongoose it is unless I see the tail. Yeah, white-tailed mongoose. And she runs and runs like a nightjar. So these are the animals that will normally come out at night. Once in a while or once in a blue moon you might see a mongoose during the day, but that particular one, in general, you'll always see them coming out at night. The particular mongooses we know that you can only see them at night, the white-tailed, the marsh mongoose, and there are those that we definitely know will see them during the day. The banded or the striped mongoose, the dwarf mongoose, those ones are more diurnal and they'll always be out during the day. The other difference between that, apart from their behavior, Jasmine, you say it looks like a cat, Jasmine, and happy Boxing Day, Jasmine. Yes, I mean, from a distance initially, you might think it was a cat. And I was thinking earlier when I first saw the eyes, it was a savo cat, until I saw the white bit of the tail and confirmed it was a white-tailed mongoose. But Jasmine, you're right. From a distance, you'd think it's a cat. And the only cat it would be a savo cat, on that savo cats are much taller because of their long legs. Mike, you just took those words out of my mouth, Mike, and you'd like to know whether the mongooses are solitary. Now, like the one that you just saw, the white-tailed mongoose, those ones in general are solitary unless you see two, maybe a male and female. Marsh mongoose the same. But we also got other mongooses, for example, the dwarf mongoose I was talking about, and the banded, the striped mongooses that are very social. Either of those two species, you could see 20 to 50. That's the average, an average of 20. But the times when you get them having such a big group of about 50 together. So, Mike, it depends on the species of mongoose. So, in general, the white-tailed, the marsh mongoose are solitary, but the banded and the slender-tailed mongoose too. But the banded and the dwarf mongoose are always social, and you could see them moving in big groups. So I got my spotlight on now because I need to look left and right, and I was talking earlier of the infrared that we just used there. Well, Gary, what are the main predators of white-tailed mongoose? I would only guess maybe the honey badger. Honey badger, I would think honey badger will get anybody, any animal. And occasionally we have seen wild dogs going for white-tailed mongoose. I would say those two are the ones that I would think off my head, the honey badger and the wild dogs. The only thing is they are very fast, and when they feel concerned or when their safety is compromised, they move very quickly. So just to finish my story with the infrared, it always helps us to spot or see the animals without influencing any artificial light to them. So once we spot something, switch off my lights, switch off my spotlight, and we just use the camera with infrared. So at the moment we hear lots of frogs doing a lot of calling, a lot of skydivers also doing lots of calls. And I'd be more than happy to see any other animal in the darkness. Not sure Sydney's lions are doing anything yet.
So these lions are just here, and I just want to now have a good approach direction because the other vehicle just moved now, and where we can see them now is going to be perfect. So one of them is just waving the tail all the time. So they are just here. So you can see that these lions are just here and very much relaxed. So you can see how they are posing, that this is a beautiful sighting. You can hear the hippopotamus are also making a lot of noise. It's also going to be the best time for the hippo to come out. Maybe the coming out of the hippopotamus from the dam might also interfere on the aiming of the lions. So these lions are aiming at the impalas, and when the hippo comes out, they might just distract the lions. The baby waterbuck, that is depends on how old the baby is. But the waterbucks, they've got quite a lot of hairs, which makes it more difficult in order to see the actual side. But impalas are very much small. So when the lions are like this, when they don't have anything in their bellies, is when they can run very fast, because the food gives them a lot of weight in the body, and then to run fast the speed gets reduced. If you look, the one which is having quite a lot of spots, the young one, the stomach is full because of the water we saw earlier. She went to the water hole, and the other one has not yet been to the water hole. You can see that the spaces between the hips and the ribs there, it doesn't have anything. When it's like that, it means it can go very fast. So now let's quickly go back to Steve and hear what he's having at the moment. Maybe he's having something, or he must be investigating something.
We're back in the area where we had Tundi this morning. She was in this block, but Dave will just scan quickly to the right and show you. It is a thicket. That's why Pat lost her this morning. And we're just driving along here to see if maybe we get any tracks of her coming out, because she is quite one of those individuals who walks in sort of zigzaggy lines and then comes back again as well. So if she didn't go to Buffelshoek, oh, that is a hyena, sorry. If she didn't go to Buffelshoek, then she would have probably come back to the drainage depression here, where there's lots of watering points, and Vuetela Pan, which is just up the way. So we're just driving very slowly, seeing if we can hear anything, any of the characteristic alarm calls that we're looking for, notably Franklin's, some monkeys perhaps, or, well, in this area there's lots of nyala. But she is a specialist for daycare. Oh, Kayleen, that's a very good question. It really depends on the day and on the hunger of that animal. Invariably, male travel further when they go on a territorial because their territories can be 3 times even more than that of a female's. And after some rainfall, you'll get male sort of walking the boundary of the territory to reach scent mark. So there they can walk 15, 20 kilometers in an evening. Male, maybe 25. So what's that, about 13 odd miles in a night. But then if they're hunting, they can also walk pretty far, but it all depends on how hungry and how long it takes them to hunt. Obviously, it's all about the energy costs involved, and if it is hot and if it is really, really unfavorable conditions, well, they'll just lie down and do absolutely nothing. But when they are busy, they can be very busy. So it really is could be any time of day, sort of the situation can change. And if they've got a kill, well, they don't need to go anywhere, maybe just a few miles or a mile or two to go and get some water, but they know where they are, and energy costs obviously, and they'll go to the closest source for refreshment. I hope that answers your question. Well, we're just driving very nicely along this road, keeping vigil. We had Osana in here yesterday morning. Tandi might be nearby, who knows, we could find anything. Last minute leopard, here we come. But in the Mara, David is with some ellies.
Very good. Keep going, and the only trick in the wilderness is just to keep going, and like saying, in the bush, in the African bush, there is always the unpredictable. You never know what you see around the corner. I passed here apparently 10 minutes ago. There was not a single elephant, and I decided to come and backtrack the same way, heading to the lions I had seen earlier. And the elephants are. I'm like, where were you before we passed here? Either I missed them or they had not come close to the road. They're so close, I can even hear them uprooting the grass as they swallow or as they chew. Sure, you say, yeah, Ellis, would guess you love Ellis, and sure, just to let you know, of all the big, large mammals we got in Africa, sure, maybe like you, elephants or Ellis are my favorite animals. Look at the lions sitting hard. Look at my lions before. And I don't know what that young one is trying to do there. Oh, yeah, she's trying to sit down. Look at that youngster there, sure. What are you doing? And that's why I say elephants are always very entertaining. I think she was just trying to have a little sit down, and you realize their knees don't bend backwards. She's much lighter than the mother there. I guess that's her calf. And yeah, unlike the lions I was saying, sitting hard, and I had, apart from the time they were trying to hunt buffaloes, for anybody who was with us that time, that's it. For lions, when they go flat, they go flat. But I have never had any guy, not even myself, seen flat elephants. And I would be happy to hear one day someone saying, well, David, I had elephants, but they were flat. I would wonder, flat doing what? Because even when they're laying down, they're always, flicking their ears, they're moving their tails, they're trying to make themselves comfortable. Because of all the animals I know in Africa, the most uncomfortable animals to see laying down are elephants. The morphology of their bodies, though it is shaped, it makes it very difficult for them just to either lay down or lie on their side. It's getting quite windy here at the moment, and we are already in infrared. That's why you see our elephants don't look like the familiar elephants that you know. And the one big advantage is to make sure we don't shine any light that would affect this elephant. Now what we're going to do, we'll try and move forward and hopefully see maybe more animals ahead of us. Okay, Alice, thank you very much. See a bit of lightning now coming and going. Chick, chick, chick. But still, as I said earlier, I don't see any rains today, maybe until tomorrow. Kimberly, I was asking how big a territories elephants will cover in a day. Well, a few factors, Kimberly, come in. Number one, the age of the elephants, and number two, if they have young ones with them, but also the size of the habitat. Like the Mara is so huge, so in walking a straight line, you can see elephants could do comfortably, sometimes up to 20 kilometers. You're talking about 12, 13, 14 miles in one day. And they walk slowly, they don't walk very quickly, but also, as I said, it depends on the availability of food. If in a small radius where they are, Kimberly, there's enough to eat, they will not need to walk many kilometers. But if they exhaust what they got at that particular point, they may want to a different area to get more food. But also elephants, Kimberly, keep changing their diet. The times you'll see, they'll want grass, grass and grass, and depending on what they get from the grass, if they get enough of it, they will stop eating grass and then will move on, say, to get some leaves or some barks of trees, and they'll see them leaving the grass, walk through the same grass that's also nutritious, but they'll not be bothered, and they'll walk to a forest, maybe to get the twigs and leaves, depending if, for example, they want some cambium, depending on what they want to gain from that particular diet. Some, game reserves are pretty small, so they get restricted to a small area, or some areas with small herds. I would say elephants, I don't think they sleep. I've always known elephants spending the better time of their lives eating, and we have always thought 16, 17, sometimes up to 18 hours elephants will spend eating. So they're only left with about 6 hours to have a little drink, and when they sleep, to me, they'll always have small little cat naps. When it's like very hot during the day, when you don't see them, feeding, they'll take advantage of some very huge trees, which got some very good shade cover, and you might see them having small little cat naps for a couple of minutes while still standing. Occasionally we see them laying down. I was just saying earlier, that's the most, I think, uncomfortable position for an elephant to be in, because the way elephants are designed, it's very difficult for them either to lie on their feet like this, like lions, or even to lie on their side like cats. So when they try to do that, they're not very streamlined. They struggle a little bit because their bellies are a little bit bulged, so the legs tend to hang in the air. So either they bring the forequarters down and the hindquarters will be up in the air, or the other way. It becomes very difficult for them. And in general, they'll always choose to sleep while standing, which is a lot easier and comfortable for them. Alrighty, my spotlights need to spot something, because I need to see any eyes that could be glaring somewhere. Shuri, you're asking, do any animals slide down like when to start raining like cows? Yes, and they are not exactly related animals. I'm talking about buffaloes. You'll see buffaloes in an open area when it's raining, just laying down, and just like cows, and you just see them chewing cud, and they are very comfortable doing that. Elephants will not do that, and apparently, even with rains, the elephants will still continue eating or continue moving, depending on what they want to do. But buffaloes, many times you've seen them laying down, in an open area with some very heavy rains and just regurgitating and chewing cud. Very typical of cows, as you said. All right, I'm looking for any eyes that could be glaring the grass, and that could be something encouraging. I highly doubt I would get any hippos like what Sydney got on a road like this without any water.
You can see that now we are watching the hippopotamus as they've been making quite a lot of noise while we're enjoying the lion sighting earlier. I then have just decided to come here and see this hippopotamus. They were playing a lot here, chasing each other, but now I can see all of them are submerged. Only few is left up there. Maybe those who were chasing each other are going to come out again. So these animals, they've got a chance to go underwater. They can submerge up to 5 to 6 minutes and then just come out for breathing. There he's doing as I am explaining now. This is a lovely sighting. So this one as well, you can see that it's about to submerge. It's looking at us, but it's quite a very distant sighting. When these animals go down, the water doesn't enter the eyes. They've got the nictitating membrane which helps them. The same membrane the frogs and the artfuck is having. Oh, he also got disappeared. They're chasing each other somewhere high up there. So they're so excited and playing too much. Hippopotamus are also very much territorial. And they mark their territories here by the dams. And they also mark territories very far away from these dams as they can travel long distances in search of some better grazing. MGN, I think the hippo has got one of the best sounds. Listen. So MG, the hippopotamus has just answered your call. You can hear that they are really now calling. Maybe it's because you have just talked about how interesting their call is like. So these hippopotamus, they do deserve a very big round of applause. They deserve a compliment. So they are doing very well. That was a nice call. Nice chorus. From the school of hippopotamus. That is a group of hippopotamus together. So I am also very much happy. I do enjoy listening to the hippopotamus just calling. Sometimes I don't talk, I just listen to them. So now let's say, after being guided by the hippopotamus, they took over from me, they were just guiding. Let's go to Steve and see what he's having.
Well, a hippo kind of afternoon there for you sitters. Very good. Well, we are on the famous road named Ingwe Alley, which is Leopard Alley. And well, it's an area we've had many times for Sana and his pops Tingana. So 14 minutes to go to get you all a leopard. We're hoping one's going to pop out. You know how it is. I think last minute leopard. Hello Lee, I do indeed. The little Chief Osana is my favorite leopard. I've spent lots of time with him. He graced myself with his presence on my interview drive, and since then I've had marvelous times with him. Really wonderful times. And he's just such a cool character. Hey Darby, don't you agree? Yeah. He's just got such a little personality to him. And we were on drive yesterday morning. Claudia took over from me and was driving, and we had Osana, and Osana came right next to the car and just like looked straight through my soul. It was very nice. He's the kind of leopard who, when you're looking for him, will eventually just come out and be like, I'm over here, guys. Stop searching so hard. Just come and look. I find that very funny. I think it was Darby, was it with you and Brent when Hosanna walks into frame? Dave was with Brent, and Brent was off the vehicle searching for some tracks, and Dave was sitting on the back. I'm not sure. I've heard two stories. I've heard one story and then I've heard Dave's story. And the one story I heard was that Hosanna walked into the frame of the camera, and the ladies in FC had to call Dave on the radio and say, there's a leopard, there's a leopard. And what's your story, Dave?
I was too busy watching him.
Dave said he was too busy watching him to film him. So whatever it is, he decided to walk into frame. Just, whoops. I think it happened with Byron once. Byron Soraya was here, but it wasn't Hosanna, it was Tingana. He'd been searching for Tingana all day. And as the credits were rolling, he was looking at the camera going, and thank you very much. And Tingana walked behind him. These leopards have just got so much character. We love them so much. They are so personal. They're all so different and so unique. They are superstars. They are performers. They are the characters of Djuma and SafariLive. And well, it is really nice to be back down in the Sabi Sands for the leopards, I must say. Didn't see any leopards in the Mara this time around, but they are there. I wonder if David will be spending any time with leopards this coming season. What is that? We've got some baby impalas over there. So there's lots of leopard food around. We're doing another loop back down onto Pangolin Road, which is here in the heart of Djuma, and then down to Chelapan, which is one of the pans in the middle of the system that would be sort of right there in the middle of that triangular movement with regards to where Tundi might have moved. And it is the last place Hosanna was left yesterday morning. This road itself has also got a couple little muddy wallows and water points that some of you might remember many months ago when Tlalamba was about 4 months or so. We found her and Tundi along this road having a nice drink on a very green little muddy wallow here. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene. I think I was with VM, and it was gorgeous to see the two of them drinking, mum and little one, drinking on a pan that's just covered in green. Oh, there's a lightning storm in the north. We can't hear it, but it seems like it might be bypassing us, or maybe will hit us in the next few hours. But you can see the clouds are getting nice and thick. But just in the distance I saw the crackling of lightning. Well, we're going to continue on along this road here. We might get a last minute leopard yet, but well, the man of the day or the afternoon with the lions is Sydney down on Chitwa.
So here where I am, I'm still having the two unkuhumas lying down, and they are very much stationary. I'm not alone at the sighting. There's some other vehicles. You can see they are enjoying their sleep. So I'm even thinking about to go back to the side of Djuma to see if maybe we cannot be lucky on our way back and see a spotted cat. A cheetah cat, the chameleons are out. Now it's nice and green. I have seen a chameleon before. The day I came back from my off days, I see one chameleon crossing the road not very far away from here. You can see the elephants are also crossing at the back there behind these lions. So there is quite a number of elephants. This is quite a small herd. So you can see that they are not too sure about something. They must be picking up the scent of these lions there. But the lions are right on top of the dam walls. There won't be any interaction between these lions and the elephants. So you can see the elephants are looking very much suspicious, and that is where these lions had a sleep for the whole afternoon. So I'm sure the scent is still stuck on the ground. This is quite a lovely elephant head. So the elephant reminds me of where I come from, Thohoyandou. Thohoyandou, it means an elephant head. And today in Venda is a very big day of boxing. So there's a lot of traditional fightings there. A lot of people are using quite a lot of different ingredients from different trees in order to enhance power so that they can go and challenge each other. Look at that. This is quite a very beautiful elephant head. So now they've agreed. They've cleared the confusion. The scent on these animals, they can stay much longer because some of these animals, when they're lying down in the area, they normally wake up and go and urinate. They do have some of the clitoral glands, the glands that is secreted when the animal is urinating, which get stuck in the area for quite a long time. Even males, including antelopes, they do have this, what is a gland which is right in the sheath of their copulatory organ, the males. That gland is the one which is discharged when they're urinating, which then leave behind a scent. So the females as well, but the female is called a clitoral gland. They are just surrounded by the elephants and the lions. You can see there behind the lions, there's an elephant even trying to investigate. So they are so very lucky. You can see they're investigating, and then with the trunk, look at that. You can see sniffing. You can see that it's just sniffing the building of the dam wall. So these elephants, they know that the lions are here. He's trying to pull the trunk right on the ground to pick up the scent. You can see the lions are even looking at the elephants. They're checking what is going on. So these elephants are coming to the water. I can see now they're coming out there. They're just about 50 meters away from the water hole. The one in front has got some black fluid coming down from the side of the head. That is called a temporin. It is secreted by the temporal gland. It's telling you this elephant has been stressed by something. So the one leading, maybe that is the matriarch, the stressed matriarch, responsible for orientation and navigation and decision making. Now she's climbing the dam wall. But still, by the dam wall, she is investigating who gone past here and how long ago was that. This is an amazing sighting. So this is what is called a parade of elephants. A group of elephants together is called a parade. Oh, this is the matriarch in front is giving some orders. And they are not making a noise at all. These animals, it's a lot of them, and they're just slowly moving down, and all we can hear is just the hard soil particles when they are squashing it as they're walking. This is so interesting. So you can see that now they are going to drink, they can't wait. This is quite a clear communication. A simple warning was given and they all followed that order. Look at that. I'm just gonna make it simple I wanted to give some other people a chance to have a good sighting, but it's fine. We are seeing them from here where we are. So it's time to have something to drink. So you can see that these elephants are not worried. Sometimes the crocodiles, they come, they prefer to, oh, one hippo is coming down right in front of the elephant. So one hippopotamus just gone past in front of these elephants at the back. Right at the back of that tree there, there's a hippo coming out. A lot of babies. You can see there's a hippopotamus coming down right in front of the elephant behind that tree. At the back of that tree there, look, the hippopotamus is coming out now for grazing. So it's only going to be back sometime tomorrow morning. So let's go back to the elephants and see these elephants who are enjoying having their drink this afternoon, this late afternoon. Look at that. So after this, some of them might even splash water and spray water right on their bodies. I've never seen these elephants swimming here by the Chitwa. So these elephants, they can be able to collect 150 to 200 liters of water a day. They don't collect this water all at the same time. They will come here in the morning and they come again in the afternoon. Shona, I haven't seen that kind of behavior happening where they absorb these fish as they're drinking. So, but the trunk, it's like a nose. At the end, it has got a tip and two holes. So when they are collecting this water, yeah, some of the small fishes can be able to feed in there, but I'm sure fish can be able to pick up vibration when this trunk is going down there. This is a lovely sighting. I cannot stop enjoying the elephants. Even if I'm seeing them plenty times a day, I just don't mind. Elephants are just so beautiful animals. And it has been a lovely afternoon. We saw quite a lot of interesting animals, including birds with Steve, as well as the buffaloes' interaction with the lions by the beginning of the game drive with David at the Masai Mara was phenomenal. So here, I am now closing with the elephants and lions right next to me. Interesting, isn't it? And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Your questions and comments has been very great. And hopefully you are going to keep watching us. Tomorrow morning we are going to be back again with something very, very interesting to show you. So you can see that it is still the drinking time by these elephants, and some of them are done already. They are saying goodbye. They're starting to go away. Until tomorrow morning, have a lovely evening.